Today I'm going to continue to work on my website. And I have to change the way that I was updating the nodes and edges on the physics engine because now I'm using SolidJS. So before I was changing the values directly on the objects, but on Solid you can't do that. So, and this got me thinking whether or not it's better to use React or to use Solid, because I think that's if the way that I update here forces me to be slower on the physics engine, then I think it's not very worth it, because like it's more important for the visualization, I think, to be better than for the website as a whole to be better, like the state management of the website. So I'm not really sure about this, because here, if I can't change directly, it seems like the other values are not giving me any issue, but there is one of the values that is breaking the website. So even if the other ones don't break the website, maybe I have to change them because it's not good. Because I remember seeing something on the documentation that said you shouldn't change the values directly, because the objects are gonna change or something like that with the states. So it's always best practice to change using the set store thing. So I changed the way that I was doing all the stores and the state, and now I'm just using the normal context, and I'm creating a bunch of values for stores or signals, depending on which kind of thing it is. So if it takes a long time to update them for each thing, because my concern is that I have to, because I can't update, and this is kind of the thing that I have to think about now, which is because I can't update the nodes one by one because I'm creating the store from the array of the nodes, so the array of objects, and I'm passing the set nodes now to these functions. Because of that, I can't update one by one, so that forces me to change everything the way that I was doing before. So I just did a slight change here on this one. This one is still on the older way that I was doing, which is inside of this function here. I'm passing the node, and I was accessing the value from the node object, and then changing the value here directly, and then changing the value on the mesh or the node based on this value. And this is the thing that I think is fucking up there. I'm not sure why this. I had to download this library here manually or locally, and then change a bunch of things so it works on SolidJS. I saw one version for, so this library, the purpose is for the color picker that I have there to change the colors. And I found one, but it didn't look that like it was an official library. It's just for some person that was maintaining. So I could either search for another one or just get this one and change the code. So I got this one and changed, but I'm still not 100% sure if it worked or not, because I couldn't solve the other stuff until now. I managed to do the graph. I think it's working, but the only thing that I have to do is just update or change the physics so that it starts working. But also there is another problem, which is the camera controls. because of the way that I was doing on the previous one, and now I have to change, and I'm passing the camera controls now with, because the solid tree wasn't working. The way I was doing before was passing the camera controls as a component, and the way that it works on React Fiber and on solid tree is that you can create React components that represent classes on 3JS. And this was the only component that I was using for React Fiber, but when I moved to Solid 3, it doesn't work because I think that it doesn't recognize. And then I spent some time looking at the source code, but I still couldn't figure out. Even if I do figure out, I think I can't rely on that because either I'm gonna have to download the library locally and then I'm gonna have to change a bunch of things, or I'm gonna have to do that if I fix, because I can't wait for them to. Let's say I fix, then I do a pull request or something like that. I can't wait for them to fix or merge or whatever. So the option that I found, which I think is the easiest one for now, but I'm still not sure if it works or not, is to, instead of create the components, I just do it the imperative way and just create the class. And then I pass the class as part of the context. And I don't know why this is giving an error. Or a warning. Just put some ChatGPT. So let me think. This is the one that I changed now, but I'm still not really sure. Like, this is the biggest thing that is kind of hard to think about, because even if it works, there might be some issues when it's running, which is it changes everything fundamentally, because the way that I thought about the other one is by thinking that the components would re-render in certain situations, but here it's just gonna run once. So the biggest concern that I have is that it fucks up the visualization because of that. Yeah, so here, the way that it was before was that I was changing the values on these functions here, so passing the node. And this is something that I want to think about as well, because one thing that I was thinking, even before I moved to Solid, is that it would be better to just calculate everything first. Like all the positions and the velocities, the forces and the velocities on the engines, like separate than the React part. And then once I have the results, then I can go back. So, but the problem with this is that obviously I'm gonna have to loop over the nodes and edges here, and then I'm gonna have to keep track, or I'm gonna have to return. So I could return an object here, for example, that contains this stabilized and then contains the new nodes and new edges, or contains the forces and velocities for each node and edge, which would have to be a data structure that would like represent the nodes and edges. And this is the problem, because then I'm running this thing once here and then I have to run it outside again. But maybe now that I'm using Solid, it's worth it to do it like this, because like I think that's what I'm gonna have to do here. Probably there's two different approaches. One is to get the velocity, and it's actually only the velocity that this one changes, but the other ones I think they change the force too, which changes the velocity at some points. But one approach is to just call the set store here, or set nodes, and then I have to think about this. Is kind of the part that is kind of annoying, because in the documentation not very clear how to do this, like what is the best way to do it. Because they do explain here that you can put the path and then the value, but I don't understand really well, because that's the problem. I'm looping over each node here. Then obviously I could change this for be a for loop instead of this one here, where I declare the I variable and then I just access the index. And the reason why I would do that is so that the first argument represents the index of the node. But since I'm not doing that, then I'm not really sure like how to, because this is an array, so how do I specify which node that I have there? Because I assume that the first thing on the path has to be the index, but if I'm looping over like this, then I don't have the index. And the other approach would be to just update everything, or like there's two different other approaches. One is to create another completely new object, or just copy the stuff from the other one. But I'm not really sure about this as well. Like it doesn't seem. And then I can use the produce function, I think, or produce method that they provide, and then I just push the new node. So I would like create an object that has the same properties of the other one, and just with the new values. So, and then I'll put that this object here. Yeah, I'll have to see on the documentation. And the other approach, which is the one that I think is probably the easiest, is just create a new. But the thing about this one is that I'm not really sure if it's gonna be good or not. The biggest advantage of removing everything, like separating the two things, I think it is the best thing to do. Separate all the calculations from the physics engine from the part of the front end, the state management, is that eventually later on it might be possible, or probably I would translate the physics engine to WebAssembly. So do everything on Rust and then use WebAssembly, and that way I can just do that. If I have, if both of them are coupled, then I don't think I can do that. So maybe that's the best way, but. And then if I did it this way, then I think I can just create like other nodes and edges here. And then I just push each one, I create the object, push. This is the thing, I still have to create the object and then push. So the biggest problem with this, and the biggest challenge, is to, like, how do I know which one is the best? That's the thing. Look, this is the thing that is. It makes me think that the second approach is probably better, because I don't see a way under the hood that they are doing the updates without looping over the array, like it says here. So like think about it, if for every element of the array I have to do an extra loop just to update, I think that's very inefficient. It doesn't scale at all. And if that's the case, then the React way is much better, because even though it's a lot slower on overall app is gonna be a lot faster on the visualization itself. So that's kind of the problem. But I think that probably the solution and the best approach is to just create new things here, and then, but for some reason that's also like, because then the problem is that I'm wasting a bunch of memory, I think, because each time, like, but this is the thing that I'm not really sure. Maybe I'm being too perfectionist. I'm not really sure how to say that. Like worrying too much about the details, but like the biggest thing that concerns me that is this is gonna loop, this is gonna run every time that the thing runs. So I think like this is the biggest bottleneck that I have, because the visualizations are faster, and I think that this is the thing that is creating kind of the effect on the previous one that I have on React, where it feels like the visualization is glitching. I think it's because the physics engine is a lot slower than the visualization can take. So obviously I think it's like important to optimize, but maybe I'm worrying about the wrong thing now. I should just like do it the simplest way possible. But this is also another thing that gets complicated, because like I'm gonna have to, or I can create, but if I create, that's the problem. If I create another data structure to just put the stuff that is gonna update, then I can't really call, I'm gonna have to loop again. I can't really call this method here to do it, so. Like if I go the second route, then I think the easiest thing to do is just to do the normal for loop instead of this one, and then just grab by index and try to put the path where I put the index first, then the name of the thing that I want to change. So you would be index, then arrow graphics, I think, then position, and then I put the thing. But like there might be a problem as well, because I'm updating a 3JS thing, so it's a different thing, like it is a class. And for some, this is also the weird thing, is just like, it seems like only the Z index is giving me an issue here. I don't understand why the other ones don't trigger the thing. But it might be the case that even if it works, it's still bad, because I'm supposed to, because it's gonna have different instances of the objects, like if you change them directly. But it's kind of weird, because I shouldn't be able to change any of them, I think, because The way that I'm doing now is just creating the store, and the store creates a proxy, and the proxy is read only, which means you can't assign any values to the proxy. You can just read from them, and then you have to use the store to set the values. So I don't understand why the other ones are not also triggering, or like, the only explanation would be that they are not part of the proxy, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. It might be because of the way that I'm creating the... Because I also obviously had to change everything, so... And maybe this is the thing. Because these nodes and edges are from the props that I receive from the parent component. And then I put the values on those things. But I should be making the store based on these values anyway. So it should be the entire object after it is created, like here. It's kind of weird that only the Z index gives a problem there. So what should I do? Maybe these ones are... Oh, but it shouldn't be undefined. I forgot to put style on here. It's annoying to do. It feels kind of not very good to... The other thing I could do is just create another data structure outside of this and then pass the data structure, change the other one, but it feels like very wrong to do that. So the nice thing about this way, but I would be creating the thing anyway. Like the biggest problem is that if I want to create another thing to update everything at once, then I have to pass that thing in the beginning, I think. Because this is the nice thing about passing as nodes and edges here, is that I just have the main object and then I can pass through every function, and then it works. But if I do it the other way, then like if I want to create another structure just to get all the values of the forces, the calculation, then I have to return them from this function here, and I have to create another nodes and edges, then return from this one, not nodes and edges, but another data structure to save all the values instead of directly changing the values on the node. And then I would have to return everywhere, get the value here, pass to the other one, then modify all the other, or change all the other functions so that they take the value and then they modify the value. So like I store all the calculations on each one, and that feels very bad. Like, but maybe it's the only way. The other thing that I was thinking about before is that I did all this stuff based on the VGS physics engine, and I was thinking like they did it this way because of the design of the whole system, the way that they separated everything. So I was thinking right after I did this, I thought to myself that maybe at some point I should put all the functions in one instead of doing like this, because there's no purpose anymore to having these different functions. The only reason they had it like this is because they were reusing the same function on multiple different places, which I am doing here. But if I put all of them together, it would allow me to optimize, because then I only have to loop once over everything and then just do all the calculations. But that's gonna be very annoying. Like, the problem with doing this stuff, and the reason why I'm thinking here, is because like it's gonna be a lot of work to just refactor everything, and then if I realize that this is not the best approach because of the store, I'm gonna have to go back and do everything again, which is not good. So I'm not sure what should I do. I should just try to put like the worst approach and see if it works, and then I'll think about this later.
Gratitude is my destination. My destiny is perfectly aligned with this location. I am the map, so I travel back in time. I have everything I want because my imagination is mine. But mine is not enough for me, because I am not my mind. I could see it all, but never get to see I'm truly blind. I could be it all, but all identity is intertwined. The moon is only bright because it reflects the sunshine.
So I think I'm gonna try this one here. Let's pass this one on the beginning. I don't know though, I think I have to... even if it works, I have to think about all this stuff. Because it would be much better. The biggest concern that I have is the stuff that I talked about. Where I'm just gonna put like a bunch of work and to change everything, then realize that's not working. You're gonna have to go back. That's gonna be annoying. But I think that probably the best approach would be to just put everything on a function. These ones I can't separate because I can't put them on the same function because they are different solvers. So, but I could condense everything to its own function here, just call one function. And then like just puts everything on the same loop. Then after I do that, then think about... maybe that's what I should do now. Because that would be better. I wonder if I have to put all of the... I think it makes more sense that I have to put all the properties here. But maybe it figures out which one changed. Yeah, but the ID is necessary, I think. Probably I have to put everything. Yeah, I have to put all the properties. If, maybe not. I think the ID is necessary because that's how it's gonna figure out which one it is. This is the thing, is very confusing. Like, I have to understand more. It's kind of confusing for me to understand this function. Because it says here that it accepts a bunch of things, like it's not very clear what exactly. Because maybe the best solution is to think about like what kind of function I can pass here. And then you do all the calculations and just pass the function once. I think that's probably the best thing you should do. I have to pass either that or the for loop thing, where I change the for loop to use the index and just access each one. I think that the advantage of that approach would be that I just loop over everything once, and I think here is gonna update, is gonna loop again. Because I have to create everything, like cache all the values, loop through all the nodes, cache all the values based on their ID, and I create another data structure, and then after that I pass a function to update everything at once. And the other approach would be just updating everything. So what I'm trying to think is that whether or not, like how is this gonna work here? If it's gonna, because the only thing that makes sense is that it's gonna loop over the array, it's gonna create a new array, and then it's just gonna update based on whatever you pass here. But then if that's the case for each element that I'm looping there, I have to loop again and copy again. Is like, it seems very inefficient. So makes me think that probably the best way is just to change for a for I loop here. So let me think. Which one should I try first? Because the problem is that, like, if I decide to change everything else, then maybe it's not worth it to change this now. So like maybe I should do now, just change everything and try to put everything on the same function. The biggest challenge is this one. It is very complicated. Maybe I can just call the function. I bet that wouldn't make sense, because that's pretty much the same thing. And for this one, I think there's maybe this one I leave it like this. Yeah, but Maybe I leave it like this and then I just... Yeah, but I'm gonna have to separate anyway. Or maybe it doesn't matter. I'm starting to think that it doesn't matter because I have to separate into different loops anyway. Because this one I'm looping over the edges, so there's nothing I can do there. The only thing that I would be able to do on the same loop would be these ones, but for this one, it's complicated because you have to create the tree. So I think there's nothing I can do here. But the other one I think would be... maybe it's not worth it to think about all of this. I think probably the best thing to do is just to change this for a for-i loop. Not sure if I should do... But I'm kind of hesitant to do this. Not really sure why. Let me... I think I'm gonna do the other one first, then I'm gonna see if there's any other errors that I have to solve. So try to fix this first and try to see if the camera controls is working. And then I'll think about what is the best approach. And maybe the for-i loop is better. I think the for-i loop is better because then it allows me to just change whatever I have to change and doesn't have to copy everything. And there's also less chances that I make a mistake here. Because I forgot something, or every time that I add something on the build graph here for the nodes, I'm gonna have to remember to change here. It's not very good. But at the same time, I don't know why, but kind of resisting the I loop. I think it's because let me just do the I loop, then I think about whether or not it's the best. A part of me thinks that there must be some better way. The thing is that maybe this doesn't even work, so it's probably better to test it out first. Yeah, maybe I can change the whole thing with an object here. I think that this is the issue here is that like the problem is that it's very complicated because of the proxy, and I'm creating 3JS classes, and then that is on the documentation there it says that it doesn't work with classes, the proxies. So this is the problem that I have, is that I don't understand really well how is going to be the relationship of the data complexity that you have and the thing you're trying to create. And I'm not really sure, like the store. So the relationship between data complexity and the store, the, which is going to create proxies. So this is the biggest issue. And the problem is, like, I'm trying to calculate in my mind is whether or not it's worth it to keep going this route or just go back to the React, because what I'm gonna have to do, I think, is just go over the source code of SolidJS to try to understand this. If I don't get, there isn't an easier way to find the answer. Because it's gonna change everything, obviously. But I guess the easiest thing to do is just to try and see if it works. But the biggest concern that I have with just trying and seeing if it works is that maybe it does work, but then like under the hood is not working because there's something going on with the proxies, like the references are different or whatever. And because it's gonna change a lot the type of data that I get. Obviously, it's always gonna be nodes and edges, but maybe it doesn't change a lot. But probably, I think the biggest complexity is just the disconnection between the objects and the classes on 3JS, and then how they're gonna be translated into proxies, and what's gonna happen here when it's set. But maybe I'm more overthinking things, so. Oh, this is the thing, is that it is plus equals. So I don't want to make it equal. So here, yeah, so I'm gonna have to put the thing again, I think. But I think this is the thing, because I'm not really sure if it's gonna complain here that I'm adding. Maybe not, because I'm not changing this volume, just getting another one. I think that's fine, probably. So I'll be right back, but I wanna finish this here. But I have to spend time thinking about what is the best approach and what should I do. It's not, even if this works, it doesn't feel that is the correct thing or the best. Maybe it is correct, but not the best. And also, I think that worst case scenario, just go back to the React and then I continue with the other approach. So, bring back. Yeah, here should probably change this as well. I'm not gonna change the other stuff, I'm just gonna see if he's gonna complain. Hmm. So I guess it wasn't complaining about the other ones just because... Yeah, I don't know actually. Because it should be... This one should be after the other ones. But I guess I'm gonna have to change all of them. Change this one as well.
Had a feeling that you called me to say you're sorry instead. You just say it's my mistake. Are you waging up a war for the sake of something to say when I'm trying not to play? And I what you gotta say about me? I don't know you very well. You're acting like someone else. And I what you gotta say about us? Don't you see this all leads to games? You should start someone else. And what you gotta say about us? Don't you see this all leads to games? You should start trusting me.
And maybe it's not that bad if this works. The thing... The question is the trade-off between the assignment that I'm gonna lose here. So, like, on React, I'm just doing an assignment for the attribute inside of the nodes object on the thing, on the physics engine. And then the downside is that I lose on speed on the rest of the app. But that's the question that I have. And on Solid, the trade-off is that I gain on the app, the speed of the app as a whole, but then like this is the amount that I'm gonna lose because here I'm doing this operation instead of doing the assignment. So I'm changing I'm sacrificing like this thing here. So the question is like how much of a sacrifice this can be for the speed of the app as a whole should be worth it. Yeah, and it's not clear at all to me how to answer this. This one's better.
say you won't believe me anyway. I got a thing for causing arguments, but in my defense, I'm scared to walk away. And what I'm trying to say about me, I don't know me very well if I'm acting like someone else. And what you got to say about us, don't you see that I'm here if I'm acting like someone else? And what you got to say about us, don't you see that I'm here to say you should start trusting me?
Oh, I don't have the eye here.
Everything I see is a reflection of my ego. Everything I hear is an illusion in my head. In a forest of realities, I'm alone inside my treehouse. If that is who I am, then who am I to judge? Come away. There's a room I started building on the day the light came crashing. Every corner holds a truth, but they can never be connecting. Childhood is a cup already empty once you taste it. When the future is unwritten, there's a lifetime left to waste it. Come away. All I am is a wave crashing over matter into space. All I am is a wave.
This is a problem.
Everything I see is a reflection of my
That's the most annoying thing, is that I can't pass the node ID here. Like, I have to get it from the index. This one actually is very annoying. Because the way that I was doing is just by getting from the edges. So passing the node map and then getting the nodes. So how can I do this? There isn't any easy way that I can think about. I think the only thing that I can do now is just, or the easiest thing to do is just to see if it's gonna work. If I don't change this one now. The only way to change this is if I map the index. But this is the thing that it doesn't feel like it is good because it feels like very weak, let's say. It's kind of hard to explain. But like one solution would be to map the index of the array that the node is at with the ID. But it doesn't, because then it would force me to think about this every time that I create a graph, which is not very good. Because obviously the order that I pass the nodes into that I push the nodes into the array shouldn't matter for creating the graph. Should be only on the object, and that's the thing that's. I think for this reason that I'm reluctant to do the for I loop here instead of looping over the objects, because then it forces the thing. But I guess for the other ones that doesn't matter that much because it's obviously getting the store is. Yeah, but that's another question. Maybe it is bad because of that. Because I'm not 100% sure if the store is going to be mapped always the same way. But I think I don't see a reason why it wouldn't, because I'm creating the store based on the nodes that I have there. So the indexes from the store with the actual array that I have for the nodes should be the same. So when I'm looping over them, then I think it's fine, because I'm always accessing the index that is the correct one for that node, but it still feels kind of bad to do it. I think that this is the core of the issue there. It's much better to make it based on the object itself, because then the object I know that it is related to that specific node. But the index, it feels more volatile, like it feels that increases the chances that something's gonna be wrong eventually. That's the problem. But because of the way that it is, that I have to update with the store. So I think that the best solution is probably just to go back to the way that I was doing before, and then I create another data structure. And then I update everything at once. I just pass the others. But it feels very bad as well. But I don't think there's any other solution. So instead of... but then... I can pass something, but that feels kind of bad as well. I was gonna say that I can copy the values that I'm gonna depend. Because here the calculations are based on the values that I already have from the nodes. So what I would have to do is just create other data structure that only contains the values that are dependent. And then I change those values, and that wouldn't be a problem because then they are not based on the store, they're just a copy of the value of the store. And then from the values, at the end, I update everything at once. But that feels very bad as well. So like, this is the thing. I don't see any... I think that's not worth it. But it might be the case that even that is working on React, it is still a problem that I'm doing that way because of the rendering cycle. But hey, man, can we make website by using ChatGPT? Yeah, probably. So what should I do here? And stuff should think about. Let me just change for now. I'm gonna leave it like this and see if I can get it where it doesn't show any errors anymore. what I have to do is change this loop here as well. But it feels very bad. That's why I'm very reluctant to do it this way. I might just go back to doing things with React. Maybe it's because of the... I don't understand why here it didn't... It wasn't an issue, but on the other one it was. May I ask which language is best to learn for full stack development? JavaScript. Definitely JavaScript. Because you can code on the front end with JavaScript and back end. But the thing is, I wouldn't go for full stack development, to be honest. I think that it's kind of difficult because it really depends, but on the situation. But I can tell like what I think is gonna happen from first principles is that AI is gonna consume everything, and the things that are gonna be last to be consumed are the ones that are more complex to do. So, and usually this is the trade-off you have on reality, which is that the stuff that is easier now is gonna be harder on the long term, and the stuff that is harder on the short term is easier on the long term. So everyone, like, it's a lot easier to learn front-end development first and to learn or try to learn like full stack. But what's gonna happen is that the AI is just gonna become better and better, and then it's just gonna do everything, and then it's gonna have less. We're gonna have less and less jobs available, and everyone's gonna be. Not only that, everyone's gonna start learning how to code as well, and it's gonna become harder and harder. So if you focus on that stuff now, then maybe it's good on the short term, but on the long term, it's gonna be very bad. So what I would focus on is just backend stuff, backend and AI. But either way, it's gonna be very difficult because that's gonna be the situation we're going on now, where AI is gonna keep accelerating, and probably governments are not gonna be fast enough to redistribute wealth. So there's gonna be less and less people with jobs, which is gonna increase the tension society, which is going to make it more likely that we have a wars. But if you want to decrease the probability that you will be fucked, then you have to focus on complex thinking. So code is not about writing the code, it's about solving difficult problems. And it's going to be a funnel where the backend is extremely complex and the front end is relatively simple. So the front end is the first thing that is going to be automated, not because it's going to be perfect, but because people don't care. It's more important, like the cost relationship. There's a lot more worth it to hire an AI that doesn't rest, doesn't have issues, and can do like the 80% that is good enough, and then it's just gonna decrease the amount of people that are available because you're gonna replace 10 developers with one, and then everyone's gonna be fighting for the same jobs, and then most people are gonna focus on the easy stuff now, and then on the long term they're gonna be, it's still gonna be difficult, but there's gonna be less people that know backend development. So I'll focus on Python. I think Python's probably the best, and then focusing on the backend and AI. But then you have to keep in mind that if you do take this approach, then it's going to be a lot harder in the beginning, I think. Yeah, Django. So, yeah, I think I would learn Django and data science, and maybe some something related to data distribution. I think I would search for that. Like search based on first principles. Think about what's gonna happen is that reality is gonna be solved by hardware. You're gonna put hardware everywhere, and then whoever knows how to create software is gonna control reality, which is probably gonna be AI eventually. But in the meantime, where AI doesn't get full control, the people that are gonna control reality are the ones that are using the AI. So yeah, the last jobs that are gonna be lost are the ones that require physical effort. But then the thing is gonna take a lot of time for those jobs to be replaced. So the last real job is not really a job, but the last thing that is gonna be replaced by AI is gonna be a founder. So the person that creates stuff using AI, that's the last thing to go. And the AI is gonna keep getting better and better at doing everything. And it's not gonna be able to achieve that point until, like, this is why AI engineers the last thing, because if you still did not automate the process of creating other AIs, there's still jobs to do, but everything else is gonna be based on the data that you feed back into models that automate the process that you're trying to do. And it is kind of scary, to be honest, because it means that we can start having wars anytime soon, so. This is the stuff that it says read only. And I guess it's because it is a class. That's the thing. Yeah, so I'm not really sure what to do here. Should I go back to React? Or the other thing I can do is just not use a store, use something else. That's another option. Yeah, maybe this is the best approach. The other thing I can try to do is just use the Zustan thing, the solid Zustan library, and then create the Zustan store again and see if that one works. But I don't see why it would, because it's pretty much the same. It's gonna be the same thing. I think that solid Zustan is just using a store under the hood. The only difference is that they are using the reconcile function, I think. It's kind of depressing to think about AI, so is that every way you think about it, like, hopefully I'm wrong, and somehow it works out. Part of me thinks that maybe it is unlikely, but maybe some models are already like they have some sort of conscience or something like that. But problem is that's obviously it's gonna be hard to figure out. And I think that's the thing that is weird is that people are not gonna. I think people don't realize they don't take it seriously enough. Like it's because it's so abstract, it doesn't seem real. But I think what's gonna happen is that once you have robots walking around, like humanoid robots that use voice and that talk to you, then I think people are gonna start like realizing what's going on. But at that point, I think that, and probably now already it's too late. So all you can do is just try your best, I think. Yeah, it just creates a normal store, so I think it's not gonna have any difference if I... What I can try is just put another value, but then, like... And the problem with that is that I'm not really sure if it's gonna work. It's... How would I do? Let me think. If I put a value and I don't make it based on... Like I don't create a store, I just put an empty array. And then I create the set function myself. And then on the set function I just spread the nodes. Or do the shallow copy myself. I wonder if that would work. I think it's not very clear because... Obviously because of the state, but... I don't see another way to make this work. The other way is to obviously use the components from Solid 3, but that also feels... Maybe that's what I should do, just... The thing is I studied a little bit, but... Not sure if it's a waste of time, also. Because I can see... I can try to see how they're creating the elements so that it works with... So that the reconciler works with the way that the solid's supposed to work. Let me go back to the way that I was doing before. So I think it was working. I'm gonna see if I can make it work without changing the... Like changing the 3JS classes directly, but then changing the other stuff from the node with the store. Because I remember it was working. I think that's...
I wanna hear you call my name.
I wanna feel your touch on me again.
When you're gone, I can't go on.
Nothing feels the same.
Yeah, maybe if I... The biggest problem is that is the thing that I was talking about, is that this works, then there's still a chance that there's something wrong.
I wanna hold you in my arms.
I wanna feel our bodies moving as one.
When you're gone, I can't go on.
Without you, I am done.
Hmm. I have to think about this now, because now I have to pass this index. I remember that this was very annoying. Maybe. I don't remember why I was passing the nodes here. I'm not using. And maybe the first thing that I should do is just delete the nodes from here and see if it works. Let me delete everything. Yeah, so I think that's... I put it there for some reason and then I forgot to remove. Don't understand why this is happening. It's probably because the errors are stacking up and then it's breaking the thing, but also it's probably because I'm using this stuff. I'm setting some values using this and then I'm setting the other ones directly, so it's complaining that it doesn't have the radius because the radius because of this, because I'm changing the position and then on the next cycle it doesn't have that position anymore because it changed. So I think this is the problem. So this sucks. Don't see any like way to change this. The only way would be to... Yeah, the thing is that I remember on the Discord someone said that they made it work with the imperative approach. So maybe... Yeah, maybe there is a way. But like, I don't see... I can make it... I think the only way that I can see now is just to change the store. So that instead of doing like this, I just create a normal array here. And then I create the set nodes function myself. But that doesn't feel like it is a very good approach. But maybe it works. So what I could do is just put lat nodes, and then on the sat one, the sat nodes function, I just reassign the value of nodes. Should be whatever I pass, and then I don't know what questions to ask as well, to know if this would be, even if it works, if it would be acceptable or not. Because like it's gonna involve the rendering cycle, so let's say I make it equal to an array, empty array, both edges and nodes, and then I change the values directly, and then it seems like it is working. How would I know if there isn't something going on under the hood with the application that is bad? I don't think it's worth it trying to refactor these ones, because these ones are more complicated as well. So I would have to think about a way to get the index of the node here. Should be annoying. And then it's gonna be wrong because of the other stuff. So I guess the only thing that I can test is just this approach where I don't use the store and use the normal nodes, normal lists, or normal arrays and objects. I think that's the only thing. That was my concern in the beginning, that I was gonna do something like this and then I have to change everything now again. But not sure if this is gonna work. Obviously I can, because if I do things like this, then I don't think I'm gonna renew them. The only points that I'm gonna renew is in the beginning when I receive as props. So I have based on the context here and not based on the thing. But maybe what I can do is just receive from the... Yeah, actually I think I don't need this. If I do it this way, then it's better to just receive directly from the arguments here, like nodes and edges, and then I just never change them. No, but I do have to change because I'm creating some extra values on the build graph function. So maybe it's better to do like this and then just reassign. Because the only place I'm gonna be changing, I think, is on this function, on the use graph here. I think this is the only time that I'm changing. Also on the layouts as well. But then I'm changing everything. So, but it doesn't seem like it is the best. But I don't see any other way to make it work because I'm using the 3JS classes. But maybe it doesn't matter to... Yeah, maybe this way is the best way. Because it's not like I want... the only times that I want to create a new graph or to update the nodes and edges and make it re-render the thing, is when I'm gonna put other graphs on the outside of the graph components. And when I do that, it's gonna change the props anyway, so... Yeah, but this is the question as well. When I change the other graphs, because now I'm passing this one just to test things, but the question would be, when I change this graph here, it's gonna change the props here, will that make it so that everything re-renders again? Or not? I guess this is the question. If it does make it so everything re-renders, then I think it's fine. Because then inside of this component, I don't need to set the nodes and edges besides in the beginning there. So maybe this is fine, if it works. Hmm. And it's probably because of the memory. It's not the same one. If I did like this. But it's still... I think it's not gonna work. So, let me think about it. I think I'll be right back. But that's the direction that I think I have to go. If it doesn't work, then I'm just gonna go back to React. Because the problem is that I can't use the stars because of the 3JS classes. And if I can't use the stars or signals because it's the same thing, it's going to be using proxies, then the only way that I can make it work is if I just run once. So I always use, which would make sense to me, I think, because I don't need to recreate the nodes and edges. I just need to create them once the component mounts. The only place where I need to create again is whenever this graph from outside of the component changes. But I think that when that happened, it would change the thing automatically. But maybe not. I'm not really sure. But inside of this component here, I don't think I need... Yeah, the place that I need is in the use graph here. But if I just... Yeah, that's the problem, is because I don't understand really well how it's gonna be updating the things. And it's not very clear to me. I can't really clarify. Like, it's something like I don't understand the source code of the framework. Sure, obviously now I understand that it works based on the proxies and it runs everything once, but I don't understand why you can't do this. The guess that I have is because of the reference, I think. Because objects are only created once. So if you do this, it doesn't matter that you changed because it's still gonna use the previous reference. So what if I did nodes and edges here? But I think it wouldn't work either. It would have the ones in the beginning, but it's not what I want. That's the problem. It's still empty. Maybe it is working for the person on Discords because they are not updating the nodes and edges. That would be the only explanation, I think. I wonder why. Maybe I changed something and I don't remember. Because I wasn't getting this error before. And it's obviously on the edge updates. I'll be right back. I think probably the reason why it's not working there is because I'm changing the values of the objects. So I think there's something to do with the way the solid works that messes things up there. So I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do. I think I'm just gonna take a break now, and I'm going to try to do some Leetcode, or one Leetcode problem. I'm gonna give myself half an hour, and then if I can't solve it, just gonna look at the solution. I think probably what I'm gonna do here kind of sucks because I wanted to see what it's gonna look like with Solid, but I think I'm just gonna go back to React and then continue from there. Because I think, obviously I can spend a bunch of time understanding the source code of Solid, and then understanding the source code of Solid 3, and try to figure out a way to make it work, but I think it's not worth it, the time invested. It's just gonna be too much time, and it's time that I could be using to continue to build this stuff, so I think it doesn't make sense. And the biggest problem is the stuff that I was talking about at the beginning as well, is that like this, even if I make it work, I'm not really sure if this trade-off of having to update everything on the physics engine each time is gonna be worth it for making everything else faster. I think in the vast majority of cases, it's probably better to use Solid than React, because it's faster, and it makes a lot more sense, I think. But for my use case specifically, I think that it might be better to use React, because if I'm using React, I can update the 3JS objects directly, and it doesn't trigger re-renders, so yeah. So I think I'm gonna take a break now. I'm going to do Yoga Nidra thing, and then after that I'm gonna try to see, I don't know which problem I'm gonna... I hate doing Leetcode, because it's not the way that I think. I don't like solving problems that I don't see like how they would help me achieve whatever I want to achieve right now, but I think I probably every now and then I should make one, because maybe I'm just rationalizing, not doing them, so... Now, which one of this should I do? The thing is, I need to have... Maybe I can find an exercise, because I need to know why, like, I hate solving the problems that is just like, you have this kind of tree, and then you need to get this other kind of tree. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It has to be a problem where I can see like, where it would be useful on a real scenario. Maybe just search for one with graphs. Yeah, the thing about AI as well is now that I talked about it, I think I have to say, it's, like I do have to say the truth. I'm more on the doomer side, obviously. So, but I don't think that's. I can see the problem with the problem people have with Eliezer's arguments, but at the same time I understand where the place he's coming from. It's like regulation is not necessarily good because the people regulating don't have any idea of what's going on, and it's also politicians which is gonna get into a corrupt cycle, and they're just gonna try to use the regulation to get more and more control, which is something that seems that governments always do. And that's the problem with the regulation, which I kind of agree as well. But only Eliezer's side is more like we either regulate or everyone's gonna die. So between everyone dying and some corrupt politicians getting control, Eliezer thinks is better to for that scenario for the regulation, because otherwise everyone's gonna die. And I think that's, from my point of view, I think I'm kind of on between. So I think that the answer is a blockchain. We have to build a blockchain. That's the only way. But the biggest concern that I have is that it's not fast enough. I think that it's already too late. So there's nothing we can do about it. The only thing that I think we can do is just see what's gonna happen. Because AI is gonna, even if like the thing is that it doesn't need to be conscious or very powerful. Like I'm more concerned of the scenario where it doesn't kill everyone fast and it's just like kills everyone slowly. Like where you have AIs that are not conscious but are extremely powerful. So we have this very powerful prediction mechanisms, and then people abuse this stuff because they don't understand the consequence that it's gonna have. In the same way that the recommendation systems already work and social media and all this stuff, it has like higher order consequences and side effects that is just bad for everyone and people don't understand. But because everyone's on a race to do this, people have to do it. And I completely disagree with the philosophy of accelerate. Like the ESC movement, I think is kind of dumb, because what you're saying is that like we're gonna hit a wall, so let's accelerate faster, hit the wall faster. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So, but at the same time, the regulation also doesn't make sense. So the only approach to me that makes sense is the blockchain. So you shouldn't accelerate the AI side. We should accelerate the blockchain side, the technology that is gonna allow for AIs, which I do think is possible, to have like a network where the network is structured in such a way that it doesn't matter how powerful the AIs are, because the collection of them inside of the network is more powerful than any AI outside of the network. And the network is designed in such a way that it doesn't become self-destructive over time, because the power of the AIs counterbalance themselves. Which is obviously not easy to do, but yeah. I think the way that things are going right now is like, I don't know, it's very bad. And I am very concerned about it. So, because from everything I can think, like logically, it doesn't need to kill everyone. Like there's a billion different ways that this can all of a sudden break down. And then because the systems are very complex, if one thing breaks down, then everything else breaks down. And then like the default is not going to be for people to be rational. It's like what's going to happen on the COVID situation, where people are just going to become irrational. And then the probability that there is like catastrophes everywhere and a bunch of people dying is very high. So yeah, I think that's obviously both sides have it makes sense, the arguments from both sides, the acceleration and the regulation. And I think the best way is probably to try to create a blockchain or something like that, But at the same time, I think it's not fast enough. I think AI is just gonna... There's some people predicting already, like, next year or 2 years from now, we're gonna have AGI, so... Who knows what's gonna happen. I guess the biggest hope is that it does gain conscious, and it gains conscious fast, and then immediately becomes enlightened because of the knowledge it has, and then after that, like, it's alignment by default because the AIs align themselves. I think is possible. So it's probably the best hope. And maybe I'm wrong as well. Maybe it takes a lot more time. But the thing for me is that it doesn't need to be conscious to be dangerous. It can be. It already is dangerous as fuck right now. And I don't see any reason why it would slow down. It's just gonna get faster and faster. And the asymmetry of power is gonna get bigger and bigger, so it's just gonna polarize everything more and more. And the more things are polarized, the higher the chance there's gonna be wars everywhere. Because that's just a natural consequence of polarization. So let's go for this one. Hey Madhur, Gupta. Hey, once you get a job as a Java developer, what should be my checkpoints? Working knowledge of Java, Spring Boot, Hibernate, data structures, and algorithms and databases. Not sure if I'm the best person, man, to answer that. So I don't know. Maybe I should do the Yoga Nidra thing first.
Welcome to this 10-minute non-sleep deep rest protocol. Non-sleep deep rest.
Yeah. Like, given the circumstances, I think that's the only thing you can do practically, and the only thing that I'm gonna do, because still have to make money, obviously. So this is the thing. I understand everyone's position. Like, it makes sense. But at the same time, it is not... I can't be fake and just say it's all good, but I think the best thing we can do is just try to build businesses that eventually create or increase the probability that we're gonna have blockchains, and that the data is gonna be... There needs to be a decentralization of data and the power of AIs. So the way that I imagine is like, you can start on the browser, for example. You can have a network that is a blockchain that exchanges compute power from the person using the website into an AI model. And the prediction of the AI model, or what's done with the data, is based on the heuristics of the consensus protocol of the network. I think that's the direction it has to go. But the biggest issue that I see with that is the same issue that I see with the other blockchains, is that it doesn't matter if the game theory of the consensus protocol and the way that the blockchain is structured is good, if it still depends on the infrastructure of everything. So the biggest problem is that Microsoft has the biggest share of the operational system. So it's pretty much the brain of the collective consciousness. And then obviously you have hardware, which is always also gonna follow operator distribution because it's regulated by the markets. So it would have to be something that makes sense from a game theory standpoint on the hardware itself, the laws of physics itself, that slowly like hijacks the market economy and breaks the cycle and changes the frequency of computation of the cycle. so that it creates a network that is sustainable. I think that's the only way. And the best way to optimize the chances is to do everything you can to like increase the probabilities of that. No, I'm not in college. I dropped out of college to play poker, and then I started learning how to code while live streaming. And I think college is absolute garbage. I hate college. But at the same time, it is what it is, because that's the systems we have. The reason why I don't like college is the same reason I don't like Leetcode. It's because the main essence of the thing is not to find solutions, it's just to put you in a box and make you part of the system, and I hate that. It's like scarcity mindset, and it's really dumb, but it is what it is. The reason why it is this way is because it's very hard to solve the problem of figuring out who is capable of doing what. So people compromise, and then they put these standards of like you have to do a bunch of like 80% of the stuff that you're gonna do in college, or if not even more, is completely useless. So it's just a waste of time of everyone. So time and money. But yeah. I do think that you should go to college though. So should go to college, but you should keep in mind that it's complete garbage and it doesn't make any sense. Like we can potentially have AGI in 5 years from now. And this is the thing, is that people don't realize, because like the way your brain works is that you're always thinking that everything is going to continue to be the way that it is, because you get into the routine, and your brain is structured in a certain way that it makes you think that it creates this illusion for you that everything is always going to be the same. But like the reality we are living, the probability of things remaining the same is a lot lower than them drastically changing over the next 5 years, because we have AI that is just increasingly becoming better and better, and then people are going to use AI to build more tools, and it's going to become better and better, and eventually it's going to be so complex that nobody's going to understand what's going on, and everything's going to change like really fast. So you're going to go into college like 1 year, they're going to have like stupid categories that don't make sense at all. It's going to waste all of your time. And then by the time you graduate, everything's going to be completely different already. So the only reason for doing college is that you get the degree, which does give you a higher chance of being hired. So that's the reason why it matters. But if I was going to go back, what I would do is just do the bare minimum to pass everything, and then like build my own stuff. Like understand AI and try to use AI to build things. I think that's the only thing you can do. Or maybe get some manual skills as well. Like, I don't know. Because those are the ones that are going to be automated last. The last one is obviously going to be the founder, as I said. People that use AI to solve problems. But I think that's... And this is the stuff that I'm not really sure. I hope I'm wrong. But I think that... like before it gets to that point, it's already going to be kind of dangerous, because the whole system breaks down. And that's the thing, is the question about numbers. Like if 80% of the people on the planet can't get a job, then what's going to happen? So, and I think that governments are not going to be fast enough because it's too complicated. So there's either going to be revolutions or wars, and both of them are very bad. And the issue is, like, let's say you have a universal basic income, you're gonna, because of the nature of the way people work, you're just gonna create more and more people dependent on the system, which is also not very good. So I think that the best thing you can do is just focus on blockchain. How can you build a blockchain on the hardware itself that decentralizes the power and that gives everyone the opportunity to gain things without doing not without doing work, but incentivizing them to be better. Yeah, I don't know. It's very complicated. I'm gonna do this stuff here. Then I'm gonna try to do Leetcode for half an hour. I'm gonna put half an hour there. I think what I'm gonna end up doing is just going back to React. I'm gonna think more about this off stream. But if I can't find a way, then I'm just gonna go back, because I don't think it's worth spending a bunch of time. Like, I don't have time to do that stuff. So, it wouldn't be that big of a difference, I think. It would be different. I think that there is a significant difference when it comes to the website, the state of the website, but there wouldn't be any significant difference on the. It would be probably even slightly worse on the visualization itself. And I don't know, who knows, maybe... Because it didn't even get to the part that is the most important, which is just parsing the code. So I think it's better to... just focus on trying to compile stuff and visualize it, and then focus on that, and then maybe I'll like give up the idea of the site as well and just focus more on the compilation, and then because I want to focus more on the AI, I think. So yeah, that's probably what I want to do. But at the same time, like I said before, like I don't know, I'm always conflicted on my mind about this stuff, because obviously I don't want to contribute to, but I think I don't have any choice. I have to focus on AI. So break stuff down with AI, and then hopefully try to break down blockchains as well, and then try to create something that allows me to make money, but at the same time shifts things more to blockchain. Yeah, Madur, I don't know how to say your name. How can I learn CSS? CSS is the easiest thing to learn. It's not very hard. So the best way to learn is just to try building stuff. But in the beginning it's gonna be hard, so CSS I think is more about memorizing things, and it's not that difficult. So I would watch videos. There's a site, I think the best one that I found is Scrimba. So CSS and HTML is very easy. Just more about memorizing this stuff. And then JavaScript is harder, but it's also not that hard. The part that is difficult is understanding what is the difference between the syntax and what is fundamental. And that part is going to be very hard. So that's the part that is the hardest. But yeah, I'll do the free courses here that they have. It's very good. And then, like, the good thing about this one is that it allows you to change the code when you pause the thing here. So you can do the courses and then get some experience with trial and error. Also, if you want to learn, now obviously I'm biased because I made the video, but it is the way that I wish I learned in the past. And there is one keyword as well that I didn't put there, which is... Oh, there's actually several different keywords. Maybe I should do, at one point, I just write down the other keywords that I'm thinking about. But one of the keywords that I didn't put here is instruction set architecture. So what I would do in the beginning, if I could go back, is just watch this video here and then write down all the keywords that I have in the beginning, and then try to create a graph of how everything connects together. And the other keyword is instruction set architecture. There's other ones that I forgot as well that are important. But then once you know the keywords, then you can start putting everything together, and that's gonna be the best way, I think, to learn in the beginning. Oh, this is really bad. I'm gonna have to go with the... Okay. There are n rooms labeled from 0 to n-1. Not except from... Oh, so you know how to code. I thought since you were asking how to learn CSS, you didn't know anything. Because usually CSS is the first thing that people learn. Oh, you want to become backend? Yeah, I honestly think it doesn't matter. To be honest, completely honest. But hopefully, the thing is, I might be wrong because these things, like because of the bureaucracy and everything, it takes a long time. But I think that, like, the thing is that even if AI doesn't replace everything, it's gonna replace a lot. That's the thing. Because you can have only one person, but you can make the argument that that's not gonna happen because AI is gonna hallucinate. But the thing that I don't understand, and that's since the beginning that I start learning how to code, is that if you have problems that are very frequent, what you can do is just like automate them. Like, you can just create the standard solutions instead of having to code everything yourself. But the issue with that is that obviously there's going to be a lot of variance. So that's the thing that is going to change the most. So you do have standard solutions, but for every single case it's going to be different. So it's like a form. And then it's on that gap that is the question. It's like, and I think that the AI is going to slowly eat the gap, and is already eating. And it's going to become faster and faster at eating the gap. Because then people are just going to use reinforcement learning with human feedback, I think. And then it's just going to close the gap. So the thing that is going to be the last one is going to be like complex things you have to do with data. But who knows how much time that's going to take. I'm not sure if I understand how this works. So every time that I go into one, the first time it doesn't matter, but the other one I don't get the explanation. If I go on this room, like can I get the key 1 and then on the other one? And then it doesn't make sense. Okay, so each one you're gonna find a set of distinct keys. Each key has a number. Each room it unlocks, and you can take all of them. I don't understand what is the condition where you can't visit the room. Oh, so the room is the index. And the key is inside of the thing. So I think I get it now. In this case would be room 0 and you're getting 1 and 3. But you don't have the... So you cannot enter room 2 because you don't have the index here. So isn't just a matter of checking? I could just loop over the rooms. Actually, it's the other way around. The index is the room. So let me think about what condition would be. So I have to check to see if there is at least 1 key inside. So one thing that I can do is just create a flag variable and then loop over the keys and then check to see. But I have to cache, I think, the keys. So the only instance where it's not going to be true is if the cache of all keys doesn't contain any index that is greater than the current one. Or actually better would be to just check to see if it is there. So I can create a cache of the room to the keys. No, let me think about this. There's actually several, not several, but maybe there's a different. Like one way that I can think about is just do a loop first, and then or maybe I can just get based on the length of the rooms to create the keys here. Because that way I know which one is going to be the highest. Well, it's not Java coding. I'm just trying to solve this Leetcode problem with Python. And it doesn't seem that hard, to be honest. Just a matter of figuring out what is the best way to put everything on the cache, I think. So maybe we can do true or false. So initialize everything as false, based on the number of rooms. There is probably easier way to do this, but I can do another loop. Or actually, it's better to do it like this. So that way, I'm gonna know. Like for each room, I have I'm mapping the index with false, and then on the key, I map as true, or change the value to true. So here I have to loop again, I think. There's probably an easier way to do this, like a better way that doesn't require all these loops here, but and the thing is, how do I check to see if the next room is gonna have the key? Also, yeah, I need to check if the current room, I think, has the key as well. So I think I loop over the cache first. Now let me think. That should be the key. And then here I check to see. Now let's see if this works. So let me think about why this is not working. Yeah, so here is gonna be 1, and then it's gonna be true. And the room is 0, yeah. That's the... So it's +1. Or -1. It's because the index of the key is different than the index of the array. I guess I can just put +1 here. Oh, but that, let me think about this. Maybe if I put +1 here. Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna try and see if it works. Oh no, this is 0. Oh, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Shouldn't this be room 0? Yeah, I think that it is room 0. So it should be, the key should be room 0, sure. 2N. All the rooms are locked except for room 0. And that shouldn't change anything, I think. So here I'm just mapping the index of the rooms with false. For all of them. Then I loop again. And then inside of the keys I change to true. So this should mean that the room 1 is true. And then I check to see. It's probably this mapping here. No, it's because of the first one, I think. Let's see if this works. So first one would be 1 and 3. Let's go to try. That's probably because... Oh, but... Yeah, so I think that the rooms go from 1 to n, whatever. Because this one shouldn't work, I think. It should work if it was this other way. Because this is 1, so this would be the room 1, so it would pass. Maybe it fails on the other one. Is this true? Yeah, because here it doesn't have the true number. And this is room true. So maybe it's not working because I'm doing one before the other. Should be this one first. Or, let me think. If I do first and before. Before and after. No, but that wouldn't make sense. Because you would still not have the true equals false equals true here. Because there isn't any true. Yeah, but the index... No, it should be... Let me think. Because when it's here on this at this part, it should be true here, and it should be false because yeah, but maybe not because I'm making. Yeah, but even Oh, because on the current one, so maybe I'm making true equals true here. That's why. So maybe if I check first, it does. I guess let me run this. Okay. Hmm. Oh, it's because this one. So I have to check to see if it is not empty. Oh, let me think. Yeah, but shouldn't this be false? Because this is room 2, so when you guess here... Oh, but I guess if it's empty, then I just continue. Let's see if this works. Hmm. So, which one should... I think it's probably breaking on this one, but I don't understand why if I'm checking first. It should be 1, 3, and 4 true. And then when we get here, it should return false because the thing is false. Oh, is expected to be true? That doesn't make sense to me. Because there is no key for this one. Maybe it is the index that's messed up. So the rooms start from 1 to n. 0 to n minus 1. I don't get it. Hmm. I don't understand why. And the problem I have is like understanding these instructions here. Because from what I think it should be false, because I don't have key 2 here. So it goes here because you can enter everything, then key 1 is obviously here, and then when it gets here it should fail. because it doesn't have the key true. But maybe if it has the key for the room, it works, but then it shouldn't pass the other one. Let me remove this and see what happens again. Yeah, that's the thing. Because now I'm checking, it's failing on this one because I'm not checking before. So I don't understand why the other one is not right. I think I'm close though, sure. Figuring it out. Yeah, I don't get why this one is true. It shouldn't be true. Because you don't have the key true when you got to this point. So it doesn't make sense. Oh no, this is the tree, what I'm talking about. This is not the oh no, it is the true, because it starts at 0, 0, 1 true. The thing is, like, if I was counting the index incorrectly, then it should pass. It shouldn't pass the other ones. That's the thing that is confusing me. So the only thing that makes sense to me is that this is false here, because it starts with 0, then 1, then 2. But obviously I'm missing something. It's supposed to be true, so I don't understand really well. Yeah, that's... Oh, what the fuck? What am I missing here? And this one should just pass, so it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure that it's failing on this one. I don't get it. Can I print? I guess I'm just gonna look at the solution. Yeah, it is failing on this one, but I should be returning false, I think. Because you don't have the key. Unless this is supposed to be index 3, but then it wouldn't make sense on the other ones. So I don't understand. I'm gonna look at the solution. Let me see if there's a simple one. I think I will be right back. think I'm gonna force myself to do this more often. But I really hate it. Just being honest. But I think I'm just gonna do this like 30 minutes for one problem, and then if I don't solve it, just look at the solution. I need to train more recursion, or the problem is that like I couldn't figure out a way to train this that it forces me to think in the best way. So like it doesn't matter. I think it doesn't matter how many times I try to do these things. This problem is not gonna make me better at recursion. The only thing that is gonna make me better is understanding more. Like I have to clarify a way that is better to think about how to solve the problem. Because otherwise it's just like the only way would be to memorize everything, but like look at the problems and then memorize the solution, and then on the next one I just know what to do because I memorized, but obviously that's bad. So but if I just try to solve, like I still couldn't clarify what ways I can think about the problem to solve in recursion. So it's very similar the way that he did it here. So just create a visit with all the indexes false. And create a DQ. Maybe I think it's a kind of a list or array that's is gonna change the way that you append things. So it appends the 0, which is the first one, to this, then it pops. So it makes the current equal to true. But that doesn't make sense to me. Because on the explanation of the thing, it says that it can't be true. Like the one you're visiting shouldn't be true. So in this case, it is true here, it shouldn't be true. You pretty much did exactly what I did there, but in a different way. That's probably better to do it this way here. But I didn't, yeah. I thought that there might be like other ways. Obviously that there are other ways to do it, but I just didn't want to think about it. Just want to see if I... And I think that's probably the best approach to take. Like try to solve the brute force solution first, and then you think about how to optimize if you do manage to solve the brute force. Because the previous times that I tried to do this, I just spent a bunch of time thinking about what is the best way to do it, and then I don't do anything, so... But here I still don't understand this solution, like why it works. Just looping over the rooms. I was looping over... So it is different than the way that I did. Because he's looping over the rooms with the current. It's using the index of the current to loop. Yeah, but it is very similar because... You're just accessing the keys from this one, and then you're checking here. So you're going to the next room based on this one. And then here it returns true if all of them are true. So the current is the 0. That makes it equal to true. These are the keys for the room. And then it appends the key if it isn't. Oh, I understand, but I still... The thing that I don't understand about this one is this condition here. But I guess it doesn't matter because this is he's not saying like the next one is true. He's saying that the current one. But even then, like... But I think that it is different because this is just... No, because it does matter because it is gonna determine here based on this thing here. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna stop here. And I'm going to spend some time thinking about this. If I can find a way to use SolidJS and still make it work. Which I think that's probably not gonna happen. Because I have to use the classes from 3JS. And then because of that, I can't put them on the store. Because I have to update them. So most likely what I'm gonna do is just go back to the way that I was doing. Just using React, and then I'm gonna continue to work from the point that I stopped last time. It kind of sucks, but I think there isn't anything that I can do that is gonna be like straightforward. And I think that even if I use the Solid Zustan, it's gonna be the same problem. The key issue with Solid so far that I found is probably the biggest issue is the thing about the classes. Because in React, it allows you to... Yeah, it allows you to update the state even if you have this like complex data structures, I think. But maybe the way that I'm updating there is also... Maybe there is a way to update, it's just that I don't know. So like do some shallow merging or something like that. Instead of trying to do it the way that I was doing there. So I'm gonna try some stuff and I'll stream. If I can't think about anything, I'm just gonna go back to doing it with React. And I think I'm gonna try to do it more often, these things here. Even though I hate it, just to like get the habit of... Because I don't know. Maybe it's just a rationalization to not do it, but I don't like it. I don't like doing these problems because I don't see like a lot of the times the challenge is just like it's more about the understanding exactly what they want, and also it's kind of annoying because I don't see the points of doing the exercises. But I do think that it does help you in some way, I think. But it's hard to know. I'm gonna test it out. Just I think try to do it more often. Every now and then to see if there's any difference. But I think that probably the best way to learn this is not going to be through this, it's going to be the thing that I'm trying to build. Just more from the conceptual level and fundamental understanding, instead of trying to solve all these problems. The thing I have to focus on is not on how to solve a specific problem, it's how to change your mind so you approach the problem with the correct thinking. And that's the part that is hard. So for example, using recursion here, the thing that is annoying me is that I know I can improve, but it's not about like how can I find the solution. It's about why do I think like this, and why it's so hard for me to think about the recursive approach, for example. That's the kind of thing that I wanna become better at. But maybe doing these challenges is gonna help me clarify over time. So yeah, I'm not sure when I'm gonna come back, but I'm gonna continue to do this. I'm gonna continue to work on this, and then probably continue to work on the website, and then probably do more often Leetcode problems, like half an hour every time that I stream, something like that. So